This is the movement. The movement.
Welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me.
I'm glad you made this suggestion. I kind of was like outside, and then I was like the noise, but I figured, another thing, be mindful of, because we don't have mics.
Okay.
So just be mindful of got all this, yeah.
Oh, people are usually telling me to quiet down.
So that works.
That works for me.
Yeah. So like I said, I normally, try not to do that whole, well, tell me about yourself type of thing. But everybody that I told that I was meeting today, this is how I described it. And I told my daughter she should come today, but she didn't. So I described, I'm meeting this fabulous white girl who tried to go to jail as a kid, and the judge wouldn't send her to jail. He would send her back home because she was white. But she was saying that she wanted to leave the home that she was in because it was so bad, and her family felt more good in jail, but he would never send her to jail because of her skin color. And when I was telling my daughter about that, she was like, and then
that was their problem.
Right. And then the gig that I was on, I was telling them where I was getting ready to come, and they were all like, that sounds interesting. And because, again, I don't really try to promote people's projects, but I do think that the story is interesting, and you got a book. So
the book is on some agents' desks right now.
Yeah.
It might be you. But I mean, I'll just brief you on this story, and really the reason why I tell the story is not to be like, hey, this is my story, listen to me. It's really because I feel like we don't talk about white privilege enough. I mean, a lot of people that are talking about white privilege in the system happen to be African American, and people think, oh, they're complaining, oh, they got a problem. It's like, no, actually, as a white person, yeah, it is a problem. White privilege is a problem, not just for black people, but also for white people. And
wait, okay, so come back to that. Continue your statement and come back to why it's a problem.
I'm going to segue right now into it. The reason why it's a problem for white folks, particularly, I'll take my story in particular. When I was arrested for car theft.
How old?
15. Kicking a cop.
15? Isha, you 14. You better not.
Resisting arrest. This is the 90s too.
Right.
But, resisting arrest and all types of, charges that they threw in there, obstruction and stolen property, all of these things. I went initially to the juvenile detention center in East St. Louis, but I saw girls, all the girls there were black. There's not a lot of Latinos in East St. Louis at the time. But the girls there were there for truancy and fighting, and they were actually getting sent up to Chicago's prison. And I went to court, and I had all these charges, and they were felonies. And theirs were like mostly status offenses, which only minors can get charged with, right? So that's why we're a little unique when we're kids. We can get charged with a lot more crimes than adults can.
Okay. Didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they were getting prison time for these minor offenses, status offenses. And so when I had this felony, I was like, oh, I'm getting the max.
Right.
I know it. And I wasn't actually, put off by this, because the first thing I noticed in jail was I have 3 guaranteed meals a day. I'm sleeping somewhere safe. Before I was lawless on the streets, my family was, the home environment was really chaotic. Mom fell into alcoholism, plus a bulimic, which means there was only vodka, not food in the house.
Wow.
And there was even oranges and snacks in the middle, so I was like, this isn't so bad. And the girls were talking about, because a lot of them had already been to prison back and forth, were like, the food's even better in prison. I'm like, bet. So when I went to before the judge, and he was like, oh, that prison is, full of gangbangers, no place for a person like you. And he gave me an alternative sentence of a group home, which was a treatment center for the drug paraphernalia found in the glove box, which actually was the owner's.
Okay, not yours.
It was crack pipes. So at first I was like, I don't want to be associated with the crack pipes. But, I'd rather...
Wait, you're still 15.
I'm still 15. I was like, I'd rather be, a convict than a crackhead. But I was like, you know what? I couldn't... As a kid, we care a lot about what people think about us, and I couldn't come out and say, I want jail, like, this is better for me. I had to play tough and be hard, like, oh, okay, whatever, I'll take that sentence. So I took it, and I ended up going to the group home.
Okay.
And I was there for about 5 months, and I actually was getting along really well with my mom because it was just letters, you know?
Okay.
So we couldn't be, you know, we
Right.
had to listen throughout the letter and then write back and
Right.
respond.
I'm gonna touch you.
Okay, thank you. So I thought, like, oh, you know, like, you know, maybe things will be better when I get home.
Okay.
Well, I ended up actually getting kicked out of the group, out of the rehab
How
because.
did you get kicked out?
So this is something that we can only speculate. I was kicked out for non-compliance, but it just so happened the night before I was hit on by one of the staff members.
Okay.
And I was cool with it, actually. I'm a highly sexualized teenage sexual, you know, girl. And I was like, oh, bet, like, this guy, this man likes me. My roommate, though, had been the victim of childhood rape. And she saw him make a pass at me, and she just was like, I'm going to tell if you don't.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, I'm going to get kicked out for non-compliance.
Right.
So let me just go ahead and tell, you know, and make her safe. And so I told, and the counselor asked me, nobody else knows about this, right? And I was like, no, nobody else knows. She sent me off to breakfast, and within an hour, the cops came and arrested me. So later,
Wait.
yeah,
Arrested you, but he made a pass at you.
he actually, come to find out, I wouldn't find this out for another year. Actually, in prison, one of the girls in the rehab would come to prison and be like, oh my gosh, when you got kicked out, your roommate went batshit crazy. They kicked her out too.
Okay.
And the guy only got moved to the guys unit. These are private businesses.
But you got...
I got kicked out. Yeah.
And an added charge.
I ended up getting all of those charges, but I was supposed to get all those charges. Now look, now I have this extra layer, right? The judge was still telling me,
that's not for you.
That's not for you, you know? Those are the real gangbangers. And I'm thinking, like, bring it, you know? Like, whatever. So, and I actually felt this really shitty feeling of like survivor's guilt, you know? Because you become close with these girls and you're like, damn, you're getting so fucked over, and you come from a really good home, and I'm going home to this shitty place where I keep revoking, and I want to be here, and you don't. I wish I could have just like swapped, you know, realities.
Okay.
You know, and so the thing that I talk about it being a problem for white people too, and this is really, really, really important, is that because you're thinking, you know, judges are thinking, oh, you know, it's full of black people.
Judges white?
Oh yeah, of course. A lot of I never saw a black judge in that part of Illinois, St. Louis, but the thing is that because they're saying, you know, this isn't a place for you, let me send you back home, you're not even looking into the home. You're just saying this isn't a place like you. Maybe you should have looked into why is this happening at home, and not just for black and white
general,
both.
right.
Why don't you look into the situation at home? Because 9 times out of 10, the reason why a kid is committing crime is to survive. They're trying to survive.
Wait, she just passed us? Say that again.
9 times out of 10.
9 times out of 10.
9 times out of 10. The reason why kids are committing crimes is because they're trying to survive.
Wow.
They're survival crimes. I mean, even if they're carrying a gun, they're surviving. If they're, you know, dealing drugs, it's because they're trying to eat, you know? And this is happening. I mean, I work at Rikers right now, and because we do storytelling, I know their stories. And this is the same thing that was happening 20 years ago. And if you look in history, it's the same thing that's been happening for 2 centuries.
So sidebar, before I start crying, you work at the Rikers.
Yeah, I can't speak right now either.
And you have a program at Rikers called The Kite, right?
I do. It's The Kite.
Which I was able to participate.
TheKiteScene.org if you want to check us out.
Okay.
Yes, it's actually, so first of all, I'm really, really lucky to have found myself in this position. I was asked to come to do just a talk by Literacy for Incarcerated Teens.
Okay.
Who is this amazing amazing organization. I'm really sorry, I can't fucking talk today.
That's okay. You can take your time.
I'm so excited.
Take your time, and that's a great time.
Damn,
So
I'm gonna give you
I
some
know,
nightmares
you know
tonight.
what I
I'm
mean?
sorry.
No, because a part of me is like, this is gonna be a 2-parter. But so we all know how fucked up the system is. So I wanted to get the initial story, but I totally can't dwell on this because I'll be pulling out tissues again. But I love the travel bug. I love that because again, we as I want to say Americans because I feel like other cultures do travel because first of all, everybody wants to come to America. So if anything else, they're making that. Yeah, because I remember a few years, no, almost not a few years back. Years back, at least 20 years, I was working in a financial institution. And you know how working in the banks, they drive you home because it's 24 hours. So I was doing one of my night shifts. I was getting a ride home. Another kid that worked with me lived in the Bronx. So we take our car home together. The cat, had never even been out the Bronx. Like, it was like, if I go to Jersey, I'm doing a trip. And I was like, what the hell? Jersey is not anywhere. So when I say Americans, or when I say at least Americans I know don't really travel, I met a sister who was an archaeologist, and her it was so funny. She now fucks with women. But when I met her, she was married, but I think she was married and still had a girl on the side. And I think the husband must have liked it, but eventually she got over him and left him. So I know y'all know who I'm talking about. But anyway, they were the first couple who would be like, girl, all you need is a backpack. Fuck out of here. You know what I'm saying? And then who stays at the hotels? You need to go to the village and stay with the people.
Yes.
So when she told me that, she was like, it don't cost as much as you think. Because if you just get that buddy pass or you travel or save up and these little specials.
It's really just a flight.
Backpack.
It's just a flight. Couch surfing is amazing. I use couch surfing everywhere. And then because I use couch surfing, friends would recommend me to other friends.
Right.
So let me say that even though they weren't on couch surfing, I would end up staying with somebody else's friend here and somebody else's friend there.
So that was what you were saying. So when you went to travel, you didn't do the tour thing. You kind of
no. Because the first trip was a college tour trip.
Okay.
It was one of these planned bus trips with itineraries, and it was. I fucking hated it, honestly. Like that trip was like awesome, just going to Europe, but the whole itinerary and being in a group no, absolutely not.
Okay.
Because you have like, and especially Americans that don't travel, are like, wait, we want ketchup. Like, and France was like, no, you cannot have a tomato on your sandwich. It doesn't come like that. And Americans were like, I hate France. It was like, dude, this is how they work. Just get it how they.
Right.
Just
try it that
way. Be here for a second.
Yes.
Don't expect everybody to speak English. Try to. Now we have apps. Try to learn a couple words, man.
Right.
People love that shit.
So
and
now,
really,
do you actually do travel every year?
So I definitely travel every year now.
Okay.
Now because I'm doing so much nonprofit work.
Okay.
And writing and trying to get the book out. My travel has, I know, poor me, like, it's only been like Europe and DR. Spain and DR.
Wait. So when we went to DR, is that how we met our husband?
So my husband is, I know, I brought sand to the beach. I married a Dominican from the island and brought him back to New York. Sand to the beach. You're welcome. So no, he's amazing. I met him there.
Yes, it wasn't just for the papers.
No. Well, we actually, we were just like, we were dating and we wanted to be together, and he was coming in and out, and customs was looking at him like, why are you coming in and out? And so it was like, I proposed to him. I was like, let's just do this.
No, you didn't.
I said, let's do this. Like, worst case scenario, we get divorced, and we both had a benefit for a while.
All right.
And at the time he was also
kind of real.
He was also he was also supposed to be getting his Spanish passport.
Okay.
And so I thought I was gonna get an EU. Okay. So there was gonna be like an even exchange. Right. But really, we were in love, and then now it's been 7 years, and we're like even more in love.
Okay.
And so he's
trying to have a baby.
And he has so many friends in Spain, so there's always a wedding or a new baby that we go see.
So
wait a
minute. So wait, okay, because on the flip side here in New York, I don't know how it is. I haven't been to DR yet, but here in New York, it's yes. But here in New York, I don't know. I'm just listening to the grapevine. The grapevine, Dominicans don't like Puerto Ricans. Everybody is separate. So how did the white girl?
I actually did a paper on the difference between Puerto Ricans and Dominicans as an anthropology project.
Okay.
I interviewed a bunch of Dominicans and a bunch of Puerto Ricans to hear like what they grew up hearing about each other, what people would say. And there was two best friends, a Puerto Rican and a Dominican, and they got in a huge fight. And like a lot of the kids started fighting because they started bringing apology. I did a research paper on the relationships between Dominicans and Puerto Ricans in New York, and I had like a couple, a group of friends, Dominican and Puerto Rican, and I sat down and I interviewed them all these questions like, what did you grow up hearing about each other? What are the kind of things that you guys said at home? And what is your true belief? And really just bringing out these things started a huge fight. These guys are like best friends, and there was even little kids started getting into the fight, and it was such a huge, deep ingrained thing that just talking about it and bringing up these things brought so much animosity. It was ugly. And one of the kids was like, yo, why you came here? Look what you started. And I was like, okay, let's time out. Like, and it ended up becoming part of the research project. Like, look at this thing, you know? So, yeah, there is some, you know, it just, this is the thing that comes down to, but, and I think that it's deep-seated, but when Puerto Ricans came to America, they come as you know, as citizens, they have all the benefits.
Right.
Whereas Dominicans didn't come as refugees.
Okay.
They came as foreigners.
Okay.
And they ended up having to do illegal jobs.
Right, okay.
And,
I'm
you
saying
know,
right like I know, because I don't.
But you know, it really, you know, they had to do all the, you know, they had different opportunities than Puerto Ricans, so that was the initial animosity that started. And, you know.
Wait, but do they know that and explain it that way?
Nobody, when I was talking to them about them, nobody was really even thinking about that. I was like, oh yeah, I mean, yeah, of course. But because this was our generation, you know, that was like the 50s, that was their parents.
Right.
So the parents were the ones, they were growing up and hearing.
Puerto Rican,
so their parents were the ones, you know, the 50s and 60s, you know, the gunboat diplomacy and all these, you know, swaths of Dominicans and Puerto Ricans came at that time. These were the, you know, that first generation was hearing their parents talk about these animosities. So they weren't really relating to it because they're American citizens. They're growing up as American citizens. Their friends are growing up as American. They have the same as the person that they're making these, you know, they're making these problems with. They have these, you know, I won't even say these shitty things that they say about each other, but that is where it comes down to. So your parents have to be careful what you say to your kids.
So what was their response when he brought you home?
Oh, okay. So he did grow up in DR. His dad's Dominican. His mom is also Venezuelan. So she is like a white girl like me. So it wasn't like
okay.
So actually, when I met her, I was thinking like, oh, are you dating me because I look like your mom?
What's that?
Do you have? Is this what it is?
Right.
Is this something? Because I saw some of his ex-girlfriends, and they were all white, blonde hair.
Wow.
Like, yeah, so I was like,
the first one.
Oh no.
Oh, okay.
Not at all. Not at all.
So then when they met you.
There are white girls in DR. Honestly, there are.
So when they met you, they didn't meet the white girl. They met Gigi.
They met Gigi. Yeah.
Okay.
So and we had been already dating for a little bit before I got to meet them, and so I think his family's so amazing. Like I've never seen anything like it, and they have like such like admiration and love that it's like if my son is happy with you, I love you. Okay. You know, and his mom had actually had like a really rough relationship with her mother-in-law, which was his dad. They've divorced a long time ago. She wasn't accepting of her. You know. And there's a lot of racism in DR too.
It's funny because my mother, oh really?
Oh yeah.
But I understand your mother-in-law wanted to not have such a sucky relationship that she had with her mother-in-law, because my mother-in-law did not have a great relationship with her mother-in-law, and my mother-in-law's mother-in-law was fair, and my mother-in-law is dark.
It's kind of the same situation with sister.
So she didn't have a good relationship. So my mother-in-law made it her business to have a good relationship with her daughter-in-law because she didn't like that feeling that her mother-in-law gave her. Absolutely. And my mother-in-law, like my husband and I have been separated now 11 years, and she's still one of the most amazing women I've ever met in my life. You know what I mean? We don't always get along, but she is at the end of the day one of the most amazing women. And I think again amazing because of sometimes having that insight. Yeah. Because of things that has happened, so you actually try to do different, which I guess is the benefit to our generation because we're trying to break the mold of what was done before us. Exactly. Because it's like, okay, that wasn't talked about. So because it wasn't talked about, I'm gonna Gigi. Yeah, I may not necessarily want to be the poster child, but fuck it. You know what I'm saying? Why not? Because there's still an unbalance. And I'm still in this matrix. I'm still in this world. So for me not to be doing something, you almost feel like a disservice or a disconnect. Like I tell people all the time, doing community work is not easy. Like we don't wake up and say we want to save the world. You know what I'm saying? Because the money don't match. And not that we're all trying to have money, but I mean even just money to survive. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't match when you're trying to be of use. But then you go and you, like I tell you, when I was in the fashion and entertainment industry, I really thought that I was in Sodom and Gomorrah. And here I am traveling, I'm dancing with celebrities, I'm living the life, but I felt like, ew, is this it? You know what I'm saying? I had a friend of mine last year have cancer. He survived. So right now he's in remission, but he was in entertainment industry, fashion entertainment, and he just did a movie that's coming out in 5 days called Survival Sex, about the LGBT teens homeless on the streets in New York. And but he did that because he felt like, wow, I've been 15 years in the industry, I've done great work, I've had a great life, I've traveled, but I almost died, and I don't really know if I left anything behind. I don't know if I really did anything to impact the world. You know what I mean? Like right now, you don't have you succeeded. You don't have to go back to. You don't have to go to Rikers. You don't have to go and talk to anybody. You could tell your story and travel and just be like, I'm a success story. But something in you.
It's not. I felt like I would have been fine with that. You know, I ideally, when you think about it, like, oh yeah, that, you know, if you asked me that at 20, I'm like, that's a dream. Like, I would love that. Like, never think about the system again. Get the fuck out.
Right.
But really, it was through that decade that I did feel a pull. I've always watched juvenile justice news. I've always paid attention. That's why I'm so like fresh on the research. Always staying on top of it. There was something there, and you know, having, you know, just met these people who put me in these places just by pure coincidence. It's just like, wow, man, you have to know like your purpose in life, because really I did go through a lot of shitty things. You know, my family went through a lot of shitty things. It wasn't easy for my mom to lose her kid, you know. And even though she was, you know, drinking, that stuff was hard on her. She, you know, had also like had a couple of friends die,
so
a sister, mom. It was
a
fucked
bad
up.
Person. She just wasn't
a bad
addict.
People,
and that's
and it's a disease, and people really have to understand. Like a lot of times, like even though the kids are coming from fucked up situations, a lot of the times, like the parents are also coming from fucked up situations. And here's the premise. And this is just kind of to dovetail back and forth, but
I won't cry.
but this is what we do in America. We take kids, since I'm focused on kids, I'll say kids, but really it's just people in general.
Okay.
But we take kids out of
Wait,
poverty.
but do we really do this in America? Or do you think this is a global thing? Do you think this happens in the world, but you only know because we're in America?
Well, because we lock up the world's most people, I think
that's right.
And we haven't actually. We are the only country in the UN that hasn't ratified the Child's Rights Treaty.
Because what about there's a country that their rehabilitation system is like 100% or some shit like that.
What is it, like Norway or some shit?
Yeah.
So people are doing people are doing things in you know the international rights of a child say, you know, jail and confinement should be the last resort, but in America it's the first resort. So that's why.
Well, again, because I guess America is about big business.
And these are private businesses, and they're like over 50% or like 55% are private businesses. So, and that number might even be wrong. It was just something that was reading earlier today from like some justice initiative. So, you know, it depends on who does the study or how they do it. The numbers might change a little bit, but they're pretty similar.
Okay.
But so anyways, so what we do is we take kids out of poverty, fucked up situations, and lock them up for whatever crime. They're going to spend a couple years in this institution, and then we put them right back and expect something to change.
Do we really expect something to change? We don't really.
Not we don't.
They don't.
So
really.
when we send somebody home and we say, don't come back, don't commit crimes, yeah, we're expecting you not to do that, but really in the back of our head we know recidivism rates, which is re-entry back into prison. We know that for over 2 centuries we have done the same thing, and those people come back within 5 years. 70 like something percent is coming back. And these numbers, like I keep finding these numbers being around the 70 to 80 percentile, like even though they're, like I said, changing here and here. This is the median between 70 and 80%.
So my question is still the same. You've done your part, you got out, you were a success, you went to college. Why go back, Ann?
So this is what I started realizing, is that it's not fucking fair that I was so lucky. And I don't want it to be.
Wait. But is it really fair, or is it the way that your situation was set up? And that could be not because you're white or black. This is Gigi. So couldn't Catherine, who came from a fucked up situation, get in stuff, just get opportunities, or God, or the luck, or whatever?
So this is the problem, is that luck doesn't happen like that, right? So nobody had a system in place where they gave me my mentor. I acquired her through chance. And so what I try to do with the kite is say, fuck luck. let's do it. Let's make this certain, you know? And so what we do, and why I brought you out to class, for example.
And I'm coming back.
Okay, yeah. And what it is, okay, so it's part writing.
But even that made me sad, but I'll look.
It's part writing. So why we do writing? What do we focus on? We try to get the kids to think critically, be it through poetry, storytelling, to think critically about their lives, what they've been through, and what they want to do. Okay. And then we'll do a brief survey on what they want to be when they grow up. And then, like, if they want to be a DJ, you know, a TV personality, a construction worker, a rapper. And if you're one of those people, please, info@thekitezine.org. Because we want to bring you guys out. We want to bring you guys out to mentor. So the idea is that the kids get to ask you questions about your job and talk about, you know, how you liked it, how you got into it. And I bring people out who are willing. You have to be willing to be a mentor if that kid seeks you out. Nothing is forced, you know, but if that kid seeks you out when they come home, you'll be a mentor. So we have a kite community, and we do like outreach whenever they come home. We try to hook them up with the Doe Fund, who will help them with jobs, you know, depending, you know, that's for guys and girls. It's different, really. It's based on the needs of the child, but they must I say child,
take your time.
I say child, but really they're like 16 through 21 year olds. Okay. And it's mostly the young adults that will reach out because they're the ones, you know, they're out of school and they're looking for mentorship. A lot of the kids end up going to residential centers, so I don't really hear from 16 and 17 year olds, but 18 through 21, they get out and they're just looking for, you know, connections in the city. They want to do something with their lives. They want to get out of that vacuum, you know. And really, the idea behind the kite is fuck luck, be the element of change. You know, be that one thing that actually changes while they're in jail. So we actually go there and give them networking in this place where they're devoid of stimulation.
How long have you been doing this now?
I've been at Rikers for a year now, doing 2 workshops.
And do you see a change? Not with Rikers, with the young people that you meet.
First of all, I know this program has been really important. Not only has people avoided infractions by staying in the class, which is success by DOC measures, but the kids have told me all the time, like, oh man, you know, if I'm out for a week, like, oh, we missed you last week, like, you know, you can feel their excitement, and it's just this sense of like, oh, you're here, you know, and it's because we bring something. It's really nice in this place where you don't have any stimulation. You see the same walls every day. Now you have, you know, this awesome TV personality come in, and you have a DJ come in and talk about their life. It's the most amazing thing that they wouldn't even get, you know, if they were outside back on the block, you know. And so, it's not just that, but knowing that these people are volunteers. I'm here for you. Right. I'm not here for me. And, you know, there's something, you know, kind of ironic about going to Rikers. You know, people, when they hear, they're like, oh God, that must be crazy, it must be rough. It's actually one of the most peaceful points of my day, because when I go behind those bars, I have to check my phone, I have to check my computer, and it's total focus right there. We are present in that moment. And, you know, oddly, it's probably not odd, but my kids are like dying for that text message and that social media. But the amazing thing is that we have a captive audience. Out here in the world, the kids have the social media and all these things going on right now that you don't have their full attention. Really at Rikers, you know, you have their full attention, and it is really a perfect opportunity to bring in these great volunteers and networking opportunities, and ideas, and exposure to lifestyles. It's really just the perfect thing. And I know that the kids have been really excited, and they have come out and reached out to mentors who have helped them. And, you know, one is helping one find a job. I
got 3 coming to me in November.
Okay, so yeah, exactly. Oh no, they come out. They're thirsty. And, you know, because you know, Gigi Blanchard, it's easy to find me on Facebook or whatever. And it's really amazing when a young person comes out and they have something. They see, when I got out of the system, all the people that I knew in the system, the adults that I liked, I couldn't talk to them anymore. You cannot. If I worked, you know, for DOC as a security, you can't contact the inmates after.
So it's almost a benefit not working for the system.
Yeah, it's definitely absolutely a benefit. And the thing is this isn't, you know, this, and they have those rules in place for reasons, you know what I mean? But this is a community project, and we are connecting people, because it's not just about, okay, for 2 hours a week we're going to give you stimulation. This is about changing lives. This is about being that element of change that is really needed. And the community is eager to help, and that's the most beautiful thing, is that like I said again and again, we've been doing this for 2 centuries. We cannot rely on the government the whole lifetime in and out of jail afterwards. We have to change something there. And the kite is just one of those things. And what we're trying to add on, actually, one of my friends who is in Harvard as a grad student is getting his classmates who have signed up to be pen pals for people incarcerated. Yeah, and that's another networking opportunity. And what we're going to look forward to as a mission in the future is getting stipends so that the kids can also do travel.
So what would you say would be your blessings from this work?
Just I didn't know I'd be good at it. Like honestly, I'm really I didn't think, you know, if I'd have known I would have been good at this, I would have went for it maybe before. But I was just like, wow, like I know that there's things changing in people's lives because of this work, and it's just, man, like I feel like, you know, for the first time, like all this shit that I went through as a kid was worth it. You know, for a long time I was like, I wish I would have stayed in the house and just read books. I wish I would have just, like, you know, found another way to live my life. And now it's like, you know what, I actually had to do all that shit. I had to go through all that shit and know what I know so that I can help these people, because this is the only reason, the only way we're going to change the future.
Amen.
Really.
What makes you happy outside of work? What makes you, what do you do to just to chill?
I really, you know.
Do you chill?
Besides smoking when I can. So yeah, so travel is obviously one of these really big things, but I read a lot and I write. Like I'm writing a book, and I find that is my therapy. Working title is Cuffed.
Okay.
I'll steal it. Really, but you know, like I know that I'm loved right now, and I feel like when you're loved, you know you have people around you that love you, and you're meeting good people like you, and you know, I met you through Rob Galinsky. When you know people like these people who call you and ask you how you're doing and care about you, it's like, wow, the fucking world is amazing when you have these positive people. Because for so long, the only people I had in my life were negative. And it was by no fault of their own, mostly. It was just the lifestyle, and it was always something negative, always a fight. Somebody threw bleach on somebody else. It was like this fucked up shit. And now people are like calling people to do radio shows.
Amen. And with